Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Alexis and I share on my channel a lot of motherhood, lifestyle, and military content. Hence today's video. So if you're new to my channel, Military Monday is a thing. I did it in 2020 and that's when I started it. I did a couple series of it, I guess you could say. Here are some. I will have them linked down below and up in the cards if you want to watch those before you watch this one, or you can watch this one and then go watch those. They're not in any particular order. They're just on certain topics and questions that you guys asked me. So I may have already answered your question. If you asked me on Instagram, I may have already answered that question in a previous video. So make sure you check that out if you feel like your question wasn't answered in today's video. But without further ado, let's jump in to this Military Monday. Let's go. So some background super quick because I probably have some returning viewers. I definitely hope I do. But I am a military wife. My husband is in the Army. He is infantry and we are currently stationed in New Jersey. He is not doing his infantry job at the moment. He got orders for recruiting. So we are doing recruiting life for 3 years. So we are currently just living like civilians basically. He works super like normal hours for the most part. Like he works from 9 to 7 or 9 to 5. It's really nice. It's very strange because we're not used to this, all this time off, and I'm not used to honestly eating dinner with my husband every single night. So that is a big perk. So if your spouse is looking into recruiting or possibly gets picked up for recruiting, I highly recommend. You can save a good amount of money with it. You can you know, see your spouse a lot more, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, just depends on your relationship. And it's really nice, especially if you have kids, because they actually can be there for the holidays and their birthdays and all the things. Let's jump into the questions. I asked you guys to ask me on Instagram some questions regarding military life, just random questions that you may have that you feel like I haven't answered yet, and I will do my best to give my best advice. Disclaimer, I am no expert, just a military wife that's been in this life for 7 years. So, and learning, definitely learning still and forever. But I feel like we've been through a lot of shit. And I feel like if I had a video like this or videos like this, I would have been able to maybe not get myself into certain situations or known better or just like expected the unexpected. So anyway, these videos are not to tell you I know everything, listen to everything I say, because no, I don't know everything. Don't listen to everything I say. Take my advice with a grain of salt and use it in your own life and your own experiences, and just, you know, I'm here to help. So let's do this. Scariest part and best part you didn't expect, I guess, as being a military wife, obviously. So the scariest part would be like when your spouse, or for me, my husband, when my husband deploys. I feel like that is very scary. It's very unknown, and it's just a very typical scary situation, just because you don't, depending on where they're going, it just can be very scary because anything could happen. Or even when they're in the field training, like literally anything can happen there too. So that would be the scariest part of being a military wife, is like the unknown as far as once they are deployed and stuff, not knowing if they're gonna be okay, to be brutally honest. And then the best part that I didn't expect. So I am super, or I used to be, I guess, like I didn't like to move. Well, I was always lived in the same place, always. Like when I was growing up, I lived in the same house for like years until we moved, until I got married and moved. So the part that I didn't expect to like is moving so much. I like that I get to clean out my house every couple years. I like that I just get to like declutter things and live in new places and experience new like cultures. Not that we've moved anywhere overseas, but we may one day. But like cultures even in different states, like people are different everywhere. So I think that's what's the part that I didn't expect that I would like. So how does TRICARE work? So this is so hard to explain, but I'll just give you my basic knowledge of TRICARE. So you can have 2 different things of TRICARE. There are 2 different plans, I guess you should say. So there's TRICARE Prime and then TRICARE Standard. It could be called Select now. I can't remember. I can't keep up. But TRICARE Prime is like when you live on a military base and you you're seen on the military base, you, your family, whoever you choose, you and your kids. So that's what that is. Prime, you're seen on the military base, you are seen on the base by military people, and then like if they want to refer you out for a certain reason, then they can also refer you out, and you're still under prime. If you're select or standard, then you go, oh, and that's free. The prime is free, so like everything's basically covered. Medication, seeing the doctor, there's no copay. On select or standard, I'm gonna call it select because I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, select, there you are seen off of the base, and you potentially could have copays. You probably have to pay a small fee for like medications and stuff like that. It really just depends. So that's the difference between like the two, if you're wondering that. As far as how it works, you call, you give TRICARE your information, your sponsor's information, which would be the person that's in the military, their information, and then they get you set up. They usually like already have a doctor, or they'll give you some options like, okay, if you are going to be prime, you can be seen on the base and this is going to be your doctor. You're pretty much told who your doctor is. With select, if you sign up for that, then you can pick your own doctor. You just would ask if they're in network as far as with covering your insurance, and you can probably go and see them. But I personally like that when I had prime, we had the babies on the base and everything was covered. I had no fees, we didn't pay for anything. So that's why I really like having prime, no, you know, copays or anything like that. What do you think about military schools on base? Are they good? So the only time that my child has ever attended a military school on the base was when she was in preschool, and she only went for 2 hours a day because my kids are little. So she only went for 2 hours a day, and it was preschool. It was completely free though, which is really nice because here in New Jersey, if kids wanted to go to preschool, we'd have to pay. So it was nice that it was on the base. It was nice that it was right around the corner. It was nice that they kind of knew our situation. So at one point, my husband and I only had one vehicle, and so sometimes I would be late to dropping her off, or I would just like call and say she's not coming in today because my husband has a car for PT. So they really understood like things as far as military wise because they're on the base, and so they get it. And a lot of them, the teachers, are also military spouses, not always, but they can be. So I feel like that's really helpful, so they understand your situation really good. They kind of get you. As far as being good, I feel like the teacher Victoria had was very nice. I loved her, and she was really hands-on and cared a lot. So I think it just depends on the person, on the school, on the area, stuff like that. But I think military schools on the base are a good thing, I think, honestly. How do you make real and not fake friends? So that's very difficult, I feel like. You kind of just have to have your guard up and kind of get the gist of who people are before you fully give yourself over as far as like a friend. It is difficult, but you'll find out very quickly. It's not hard to tell. I mean, for me at least, I can just tell like if someone's not trying to like, if I'm just putting in all the effort and they're not putting in any effort for our relationship or friendship, like it's not really worth it to me. I kind of just distance myself from that. So I think it's a two-way street, and kind of like any other relationship or friendship outside of the military, you'll be able to realize who's your friend and who's not. And a lot of people talk, and so if someone's talking about you behind your back, you're gonna hear it. It's gonna circulate. Military life is very similar to high school life, sadly. You hear a lot of talk, it's a lot of drama. Word gets around, and you will find out eventually if someone's not being a good friend to you, sadly. But you just kind of have to pick and choose. I honestly think quality over quantity for sure. It is sad though when you move away, because then you're like, oh, I finally found one good friend and now I have none. So honestly, just kind of get a feel of the person, and you have a good intuition. You'll be able to figure it out. But like I said, word travels quickly, so you'll be able to figure out if they have a problem with you or if they're talking about you behind your back, honestly. Can I get a job as a military spouse? Yes, you can get a job as a military spouse. You can't get a job being a military spouse, but you can get a job as a military spouse, you can work, which I think it's great. If you have like, say, a teaching degree, you can work at the school. And I think that's awesome because you can transfer with bases because you're already in the system. You can transfer from base to base. So I think that's awesome if you have something like that. Or if you're like a dental hygienist, like you can work at the dentist's office on the base and then transfer and stuff like that. Or you don't even have to work on the base. You can always have a job if you're a military spouse. You have no restrictions. The only thing that might suck is like when you move, you are out of a job. But a lot of places do transfer, and especially if you do work on the base, then you'll be able to transfer your job super easily. Pros and cons of living on the base. I've said this so many times. I've talked about this so many times, but I'll skim over it super quick. Pros would be that you live close to your husband's work or your spouse's work. They can get there very quickly. Say they want to come home and change, take a nap before they have to go back in after PT. Easy. Another pro would be that your house, most of the time, electricity and water and like trash and stuff are all covered in your BAH. A con of that though would be that a lot of places do take your full BAH, but in the end it kind of counteracts itself because your water and your electricity may have added up to it anyway. So it just depends. Another con would be, you know, they kind of dictate how your lawn looks. You can't really have like toys out on your lawn often if you're lazy and you don't feel like bringing them in all the time. You have to pick your weeds a lot. That was a big thing in Georgia. Like we always had to pick our weeds or we'd get like notes on our door. And you have to just like keep it up to their standards, but honestly military bases don't have super high standards, so I think you're good unless you're living like trash. But if not, even if you are living like trash, you'll probably get away with it for a little bit, because we had neighbors in Georgia and across the street, they had vines crawling up the sides. It was a whole thing, and they didn't even get in trouble for like until they moved out basically. So that's another con. Another con would be being very close in proximity to like your neighbors and stuff like that, which I kind of liked because I felt like when my husband was gone that they were right there and they're living the same life I am basically. So if I needed something, God forbid something were going on, like they're right there. So that's a pro. There's a lot of pros and cons, but those are some for you. Oh, and a con would be that it really would depend on your rank though, if you see it as a pro or a con. When you're lower ranking, you don't always get the best of the best house, but usually in that time you don't really have kids. But if you did go into it with a bunch of kids and your husband or spouse was low ranking, then you may not get a big enough house or a nice house because your spouse's rank, because housing does depend on rank. But from my experience, I mean, when my husband was low ranking, we didn't get like horrible housing. It was enough to fit us and worked for us. So they really do like spread it out. And I think if you do have multiple kids that they will give you, you know, enough room to accommodate them. But that's just a thought to remember, that on base housing usually depends on your rank. So the higher the rank, the better the house basically. Were any of your babies conceived right after basic/deployment? No, none of them were. Victoria was conceived 6 months after we got married. And so I guess that could be after basic, but it was 6 months, so not literally right after. And she was planned, and then same with Jackson. Literally, Victoria was born a year, and she was a year old, and then we conceived Jackson the following year. We wanted our baby super close, so our kids are 19 months apart, which I love. So nope, none of them were conceived during basic or a deployment. But that is very, very common. How can I prepare my little ones for their dad being gone for so long? Books. I will actually link a couple books down below. I have them saved in my Amazon storefront, I believe, but I'll specifically like put in the description bar books that I recommend. I feel like books are such an easy way that you're gonna read to them probably at night anyway before they leave, and that can kind of like prepare them like, oh, that girl's dad is doing that. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, it's kind of like already in them or something, like they process it better, I think. So I highly recommend getting books. Also, just kind of talking to them, even if they're little, like you might not think that they understand, but they will. They'll get it, and just letting them know, like, how many sleeps until daddy comes home, or you could even make a little calendar. There's so many things on Pinterest that you can do. Little clocks that shows like what time it is for wherever they are. and everything like that. So I feel like visuals are really good for kids. So, and talking to them, communication always with literally everything is key. So try and communicate with them and just let them know, hey, daddy's got to go away for work. He's going to be doing whatever, you can say whatever, fighting bad guys, or he's got to do something really, they really need him for something special at work, so he's got to go, something like that. So just let them know and tell them, prepare them up to the time. Victoria is like, I have to tell her things very far in advance. She remembers things so well too. So just being repetitive and being like, make sure you snuggle daddy really tight, because in a couple weeks he's gonna have to go and we're not gonna be able to snuggle him. So it's just stuff like that, just kind of like putting it in, dropping little seeds about it. And then also books, I feel like helps so much, especially when they're gone as well. It helps them like realize, oh, that's what's going on. Do you ever feel like it is hard to achieve your personal goals being married to a military man? I don't think so, because just depending on what your goal is, and if you're married to the right person, I think that they would put your goals just in line with their own goals. So I feel like, you know, they would help you achieve your goals as you're helping them achieve theirs. So I feel like if you're married to the right person, then it's not difficult at all. As far as like, even if you like are trying to go to school, you can do virtual school because you move so much. Or you can, if you want to have a certain job, maybe if it's in a certain place, that might be too hard, but and not like, you can't really do that because you're going to be moving and not go to that same place. Like say your job, that your dream job that you want to do is New York. Well, there's not a guarantee that you're going to be in New York, but if your goals are like a certain job or a certain school or just like a fitness goal or even YouTube, you can achieve it as long as you have the right person backing you up. How do you adjust back to having him home after deployment? I feel like you realize all the corks that you were like, ooh, I hated when you did that, and that was gone for a while, and sometimes you may miss it and be like, oh, I'm so glad that's back. Or you might be like, man, I hated that, wish that wasn't back. So it can be difficult, and I feel like a lot of relationships do struggle right after coming home from a deployment because they've been doing their own thing, both of them, for so long now. And after 3 weeks or so, you start to get in your own groove of, you know, a new schedule and everything like that. So say that they're gone for 9 months, that's such a long time, and you're doing your own thing. I know when my husband first got back, I was so used to like getting all the groceries, getting the kids, doing all the things after I left the grocery store, and like having him take the cart and like do things like that was so weird. I was like, oh, I'm not used to this, this is weird. Or like folding up the stroller for me, like that was really weird because I was like, oh, I'm so used to like doing everything by myself. So stuff like that. But I think maybe like a marriage retreat or just something where you can have, especially if you have kids, like having alone time, maybe like date night, or even going out to dinner by yourselves, just to like kind of get to know each other again. But it's kind of fun because it's like you're dating again. So I feel like it can be good and bad because you may remember qualities about them that you didn't really like and was gone for a while, and now you're like, man, that's back and I don't like it. And then it could cause arguments, or it could rekindle like sparks and you could feel like you're dating and like a fresh relationship. I don't know, I feel like it's good having distance because when you come together it's like refreshed and you're not sick of each other. So I feel like either going on some sort of marriage retreat, which they do a lot after deployments, or just like a date night, or like just sitting down and talking to each other, honestly, just getting to know each other again and like telling each other about what happened or like what you did, certain things, and I feel like that helps. So that is actually going to be it for this Q&A Military Monday. I hope you guys enjoyed. If I didn't answer your question in this video, I probably have already answered it, so check out the description down below. I will have all of my previous videos on Military Monday, and I'm thinking about doing next Military Monday. I have 1 or 2 stories already. I think I'm gonna read some stories, some military stories, or I'm gonna do a story time, I believe. So make sure that you subscribe and like this video. Make sure you have your bell notification turned on so you can be notified every time I upload. And if you have a military horror story or some sort of crazy military spouse story or something, please send it to me over on Instagram. I will have that up on the screen and link down below. Please send it over to me. You'll stay anonymous, and I just want to entertain some people and just let people know some of the crazy things that can happen as a military spouse. So if you have any great stories, let me know, send them my way, and I will read them and give my reaction and kind of put myself in the situation and tell you what I would have done or how I would have reacted. But yeah, send them over to me on Instagram. But thank you so much for watching this video and taking the time out of your day to watch, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.